This message didn't reach you by chance. It arrived before something important does. There are moments in life when something shifts so quietly, so subtly, that the world outside appears unchanged, yet deep within, everything begins to move. This is one of those moments. If you have found your way here, whether by intention or by what you might call coincidence, understand this: there are no accidents in the unfolding of your path. Not now, not anymore. Something has been aligning, patiently, precisely, far beyond the limits of what you can see, and now a message is reaching you. Not loudly, not forcefully, but unmistakably. It arrives like a whisper carried through time, like a presence, standing just beyond the edge of your awareness, waiting for you to notice. And perhaps, recently, you have noticed something, a feeling you couldn't quite explain, a subtle pull, a sense that something is about to change, or already has. You may have dismissed it at first. Most do. The mind searches for logic, for familiar explanations. But this feeling, it doesn't belong to the ordinary world. It doesn't fade when ignored. It waits, it returns, it grows stronger, because it is not random, it is a call. And today, that call takes form. There is news, unexpected, uninvited, yet deeply meant for you, that is making its way into your life. It may not arrive the way you expect. It may not look the way you imagined. It may come through a conversation, a message, a sudden realization, or even a quiet moment, alone, where everything suddenly makes sense. But make no mistake, it is coming, and it is not meant for everyone. It is meant for you. For a long time, you have walked a path that felt uncertain. You may have questioned your direction, your purpose, even your worth. There were moments when doors closed without explanation, when plans dissolved, when clarity seemed just out of reach. Yet through it all, you kept going, even when you didn't know why, even when it would have been easier to stop. That persistence was not overlooked. That quiet strength was not invisible. There has been a watchfulness over your journey, a guidance that does not interfere, but observes, protects, and prepares. And now, the moment has come when that guidance steps closer. There is a transmission taking place. One that moves not through noise, but through awareness. One that does not demand belief, but invites recognition. The presence behind this message carries a frequency of protection, clarity, and truth. It does not seek to control your path, but to illuminate it. It does not impose, but reveals. Some have called this presence a guardian, others a messenger, a force of divine alignment. You may know it by a different name, or, perhaps, deep within, you already recognize it. This message is being delivered through a channel of strength and light, through the energy of Archangel Michael, not as something distant or unreachable, but as a guiding force that has always existed alongside you, waiting for the moment when you were ready to hear. And that moment is now. There is a reason this message finds you at this exact point in your life. You are standing at a threshold, whether you realize it or not. Behind you lies everything you have endured, everything you have learned, everything that has shaped you into who you are. Ahead of you, something entirely different. But before you step forward, you must understand something important. You were never overlooked. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared. Prepared for a realization that cannot be undone once seen. prepared for a shift that cannot be reversed once it begins, prepared to receive something that others might miss entirely. Because not everyone is meant to hear this. Not everyone would understand it, but you were always meant to arrive here, and, as this unexpected news begins to unfold in your life, you may feel a mixture of curiosity and hesitation. That is natural. The unknown often carries both wonder and uncertainty. But beneath that, there is something else, something deeper, a knowing, a quiet recognition that this moment matters, that this message matters, that you matter. There is no need to rush, no need to force meaning where it has not yet revealed itself. The message will unfold in layers, in timing, that aligns perfectly with your awareness. What is meant for you will not pass you by, but you must remain open, attentive, willing to see beyond what is immediately visible. Because what is arriving is not just information, it is direction. Not just a message, but an invitation. An invitation to step into a version of yourself that has been waiting patiently beneath the surface. A version that does not doubt its path, a version that recognizes guidance not as something external, but as something that has always been within reach. You are closer than you think, closer to clarity, closer to purpose, closer to understanding why everything unfolded the way it did. And as you continue forward from this moment, something will begin to shift, not all at once, not dramatically, but steadily. Pieces will begin to connect. Signs will begin to appear. What once felt confusing will begin to make sense. And when it does, you will remember this moment. You will remember that something reached out to you, gently, quietly, but with undeniable intention. And you will realize you were never just watching this message. You were receiving it, because you were chosen to hear it. And now, it has begun, because what's coming is closer than you think. Have you ever noticed that? Before something important happens, something shifts inside you, not in a loud or obvious way, not like a clear announcement or a sudden realization, but something quieter, subtle, almost easy to ignore, until you look back and realize it was there all along. It often begins as restlessness, a feeling you can't quite explain. You go about your day as usual, but something feels slightly off. Not wrong, just different. Your routine is the same, your surroundings unchanged, yet your inner world starts to move in unfamiliar ways. You might find it harder to focus on things that normally hold your attention. Conversations feel distant, tasks feel heavier, or strangely unimportant. It's as if your mind is trying to pull away from the ordinary, even if you don't yet know why. And then there's the awareness. It's subtle at first, like your senses are tuning into something just beyond reach. You begin to notice small details more vividly, a passing comment, a glance, a pattern that repeats itself throughout your day. Things that once blended into the background now feel significant. You might pause more often, reflect more deeply, even question things you previously accepted without thought. It's not confusion, it's preparation. Because before important news arrives, before something shifts in your external world, your internal world often begins to adjust first. And it doesn't ask for permission. Sometimes it shows up as a feeling you carry without understanding, a quiet anticipation. Not excitement exactly, and not fear either, but something in between. A sense that something is approaching, even if you have no evidence to support it. You might catch yourself thinking about the future more than usual, imagining possibilities, replaying past moments, connecting dots that didn't seem connected before, or maybe it feels more emotional than mental. A sudden wave of nostalgia, a deeper sensitivity to words, to tone, to energy around you. You may feel more affected by things that wouldn't normally move you. Music hits differently. Silence feels louder. Even your own thoughts seem to carry more weight. It's as if your emotional system is heightening, becoming more alert. Not because something is wrong, but because something matters. And then there are the moments of stillness, unexpected pauses where everything seems to slow down for just a second. You might be in the middle of something ordinary, walking, sitting, scrolling, and suddenly there's this brief sense of detachment, like time stretches, like you're being gently pulled inward. In those moments, you may not hear words, you may not see anything unusual, but there's a presence, a quiet sense that something is aligning behind the scenes. Most people brush these moments off. They return to distraction, to noise, to routine. But if you stay with it, if you allow yourself to feel instead of analyze, you begin to notice a pattern. These signals don't come randomly. They come before something, before a conversation that changes your perspective, before news that shifts your direction, before clarity breaks through confusion. Your intuition doesn't operate on logic or timelines. It doesn't wait for confirmation. It moves ahead of events, not after them. It senses what your conscious mind has not yet caught up to. And that's why it can feel so strange, because you're reacting to something that hasn't fully arrived yet. Think about it. How many times have you looked back and said, I felt something before it happened? That feeling wasn't imagination. It was awareness, just not the kind you're used to trusting. In a world that values certainty and proof, intuition often feels out of place. It doesn't explain itself. It doesn't follow clear rules. It simply nudges, signals, shifts your inner state in ways that don't always make sense at first. But it's consistent, and more importantly, it's personal. No one else can feel it exactly the way you do. No one else can interpret it for you. That restlessness you feel, it's yours. That heightened awareness, it's yours. Those subtle emotional changes, they're not random. They're part of a language your inner self uses to communicate with you. A language that becomes clearer the more you pay attention. And here's the important part. These signals are not here to confuse you. They're here to prepare you. Before important news enters your life, something within you begins to create space for it. Space to receive it. Space to understand it. Space to respond in a way that aligns with who you are becoming. Not who you were before. That's why things can feel unsettled. Because something is shifting beneath the surface. You may outgrow certain thoughts without realizing it. Ideas that once felt certain begin to loosen. Perspectives change. Even your emotional reactions start to evolve. It's not random. It's adjustment. Your mind and emotions are recalibrating, making room for something new. And yes, it can feel uncomfortable. Uncertainty often does. But discomfort doesn't always mean something is wrong. Sometimes it means something is changing, something meaningful. So instead of resisting it, notice it. When you feel restless, don't rush to distract yourself. Ask yourself what feels different. When your awareness sharpens, don't dismiss it as overthinking. Observe what keeps appearing in your attention. When your emotions shift, don't label them too quickly. Sit with them. Let them reveal what they are trying to show you, because these signals, quiet as they may be, are guiding you towards something. Not with force, not with urgency, but with precision. And when the moment arrives, when the news finally reaches you, in whatever form it takes, you may realize something surprising. A part of you already knew, not in words, not in clear images, but in feeling, in that restlessness, in that awareness, in those subtle shifts you couldn't quite explain, and suddenly everything makes sense. Not because it's easy, but because you were already being prepared for it, long before it arrived. You've been feeling something shift, even if you couldn't explain it. There is a common belief that important news arrives in obvious ways. A clear message, a direct conversation, a moment you can point to and say, "That's when everything changed." But that isn't always how it happens. In fact, some of the most important shifts in your life don't announce themselves at all. They don't knock loudly. They don't ask for your full attention. They arrive quietly, through unexpected channels, at unexpected times, in forms you might not immediately recognize. And that is what makes them so powerful. Because when something is truly meant for you, it doesn't always come the way you imagine. It comes the way you will actually receive it. It might begin with a person. Not someone you've been waiting for. Not someone you necessarily trust or even know well. Just someone who crosses your path at the right moment, saying something simple, almost casual. A sentence, a question, a story. And for reasons you can't explain, it stays with you. It echoes. Long after the conversation ends, you find yourself returning to it, turning it over in your mind, seeing it from different angles. Because hidden inside those ordinary words is something more. Something meant specifically for you. But the person may never realize it. They may never know they were part of something significant. And that's how it works, sometimes. The message isn't always delivered with intention. It's carried, passed through people, moments, and interactions that seem random on the surface, but align perfectly beneath it. Or it might come through a phone call, an unexpected ring, a message you didn't anticipate, a name appearing on your screen that makes you pause for just a second longer than usual. You almost ignore it. You consider letting it pass. But something subtle, encourages you to answer. And in that brief exchange, something shifts. Not always dramatically, not always instantly, but something changes direction. A piece of information, a tone in someone's voice, a single detail that opens a door you hadn't considered before. And afterward, you might not fully understand why it mattered. Not yet, because some messages don't reveal their full meaning right away. They unfold gradually, as you move forward, as other pieces begin to connect. Then there are the moments that don't involve anyone else at all. No conversation, no external trigger, just you, and a sudden realization. It can happen anywhere, in the middle of your routine, while doing something you've done 100 times before. And without warning, A thought appears, not forced, not constructed, but clear, almost as if it arrived, fully formed. You stop. You feel it, because it doesn't feel like your usual thinking. It feels different, deeper, more certain, even if you can't explain why. And in that moment, something becomes obvious that wasn't obvious before. A truth you hadn't fully seen. A direction you hadn't fully considered. A realization that changes how you understand everything that came before it. But again, it doesn't shout. It doesn't demand immediate action. It simply presents itself and waits for you to recognize it. And sometimes, the message comes through events. Sudden, unplanned, completely outside of your control. A change in circumstances. An interruption. Something that disrupts your expectations just enough to force you to pause, to reconsider, to look at your path from a different perspective. At first, it may feel inconvenient, even unwelcome. But later, often much later, you begin to see that it wasn't random. It redirected you. It placed you somewhere you wouldn't have chosen, but needed to be, because not all important news comes in the form of words. Sometimes, it comes in the form of experience. Something you go through, rather than something you hear. Something that reveals its meaning only after you've moved through it. And this is where the mystery deepens, because you don't always know, in the moment, what is significant and what is not. The conversation that changes everything might feel ordinary. At first, the phone call might seem small. The realization might come and go before you fully grasp it. The event might feel like an interruption rather than a message. But later, you see it. You connect it. You understand that something was being delivered to you, piece by piece, layer by layer, through channels you didn't expect. And that's why it's important to stay aware, not alert in a tense or anxious way, but open, present, willing to notice the subtle shifts, the quiet moments, the things that don't immediately make sense, because the way it arrives for you will be unique. It will match your path, your timing, your state of awareness. It may come through someone you almost didn't speak to, through a message you almost didn't read, through a moment you almost ignored, or through a realization you almost dismissed. But you won't miss it. Not truly. Because when something is meant to reach you, it finds a way. It moves through the noise, through the distractions, through the ordinary flow of your life, until it reaches a point where you can no longer overlook it. And when it does, there will be a shift, a quiet but undeniable recognition. You may not have all the answers right away. You may not fully understand what it means or where it will lead, but you will know that something has changed, that something has been set in motion, and that whatever comes next is connected to that moment. So as you move forward, pay attention, not just to the obvious, but to the subtle, the unexpected, the things that don't demand your focus, but gently invite it. Because the news that is meant for you is already on its way. You just don't know yet how it will arrive. And that feeling is trying to prepare you. There is a moment before every meaningful change where nothing has happened yet, and yet everything is already beginning. It is a quiet space, a space where you are not being asked to act, to decide, or to rush forward. Instead, you are being invited to prepare, not externally, but internally. Because when something important is approaching, readiness is not about doing more. It is about becoming still enough to receive it. Mental and emotional readiness is often misunderstood. Many believe it means having all the answers, being completely certain, or feeling confident without doubt. But true readiness is something much softer and much stronger at the same time. It is the ability to remain calm when you don't yet know what's coming. It is the choice to stay aware, even when nothing is fully clear. It is the willingness to remain open, without forcing conclusions too soon. And right now, this is where you are being guided. You may feel a subtle tension within you, a sense that something is building, something is nearing. Your mind might want to jump ahead, to predict outcomes, to create scenarios, to prepare for every possibility. That's natural. The mind seeks control. It tries to protect you by anticipating what comes next. But not everything needs to be predicted. Some things need to be received. And this is where patience becomes essential. Not passive waiting, not frustration, but a steady, grounded patience that allows things to unfold in their own time. A patience that understands that clarity often arrives step by step, not all at once. If you rush this moment, if you react too quickly, make decisions too fast, or force meaning before it has revealed itself, you risk misreading what is being shown to you, not because you are incapable, but because you are ahead of the moment. Readiness requires alignment with timing, and timing cannot be forced. So, instead of reaching forward, return to where you are. Breathe, observe. Notice what is happening within you without immediately labeling it or trying to fix it. Are your thoughts moving faster than usual? Are your emotions shifting in ways you don't fully understand? Is there a quiet sense of anticipation beneath everything? Let it be there. You don't need to resolve it right away, because readiness is not about eliminating uncertainty. It's about learning to stand calmly within it. There is a strength in that, a quiet strength that doesn't react impulsively, doesn't grasp for control, and doesn't panic in the absence of clarity. It trusts not blindly, not without awareness, but deeply. Trust is not about knowing exactly what will happen. It's about knowing that whatever does happen, you will be able to meet it. And that trust begins here, before anything external has changed. You build it now, in how you hold yourself in this moment, in how you respond to the unknown, in how you choose calm over reaction, because when the moment arrives, when the news comes, when the shift becomes visible, your state of mind will shape how you receive it. If you are rushed, you may misinterpret it. If you are overwhelmed, you may resist it. If you are closed, you may not fully recognize it. But if you are calm, aware, open, you will see clearly. You will understand what is being shown to you without distortion. And that clarity will guide your next step, not with confusion, but with quiet certainty. This is why emotional readiness matters just as much as mental readiness. Your emotions are not obstacles. They are signals, but they need space. If you react to every emotion immediately, if you let every feeling push you into action, you lose the ability to listen to what those emotions are actually telling you. Not every feeling requires a response. Some require observation. Some require patience. Some are simply passing through, clearing space for something else. And when you allow emotions to move without controlling you, you begin to develop a deeper awareness, a sense of what is real, what is temporary, and what truly matters. This awareness becomes your anchor. It keeps you steady even when things begin to shift. It allows you to respond rather than react. And that difference is everything, because reactions are often driven by fear, urgency, or assumption. Responses come from clarity, presence, and understanding. And right now, you are being guided toward that clarity, not by pushing you forward, but by grounding you where you are. So if you feel the urge to rush, pause. If you feel the need to figure everything out immediately, step back. If you feel overwhelmed by possibilities, return to the present moment. You don't need to solve what hasn't arrived yet. You don't need to prepare for every outcome. You only need to be ready to receive, and that readiness is already within you. It grows each time you choose calm over chaos, each time you remain open instead of closing off, each time you trust the process, even when you don't fully understand it. You are not being left without guidance. You are being prepared in a way that is quiet, steady, and deeply aligned with who you are becoming. So, stay here, in this space of awareness. Let things unfold. Let clarity come to you, rather than chasing after it. And when the moment arrives, when everything begins to make sense, you will not feel rushed or unprepared. You will feel grounded, centered, ready, not because you forced it, but because you allowed yourself to become it. Most don't always arrive the way you expect. And now, you are here, at the edge of something you cannot fully see yet, but can undeniably feel. Everything you have experienced up to this point, the restlessness, the awareness, the subtle emotional shifts, the quiet preparation. It was not random. It was not meaningless. It was not leading nowhere. It was leading here, to this moment of stillness, where you begin to understand that you are not moving through life alone. And you never have been. There has always been a presence around you, not something loud or overwhelming, not something that demands your attention, but something steady, watchful, constant, a guidance that does not interfere but protects, a force that does not control but aligns. And whether you have felt it clearly or only in brief, unexplainable moments, you have never been without it. Even in your most uncertain times, even when things felt unclear, delayed, or disconnected, even when you questioned your path, you were being guided, not away from your purpose, but toward it, in ways you could not always recognize at the time. And now, as you stand in this moment, this space between what has been and what is about to unfold, you are being asked for something simple, yet powerful: trust. Not a blind trust that ignores reality, but a grounded, steady trust that comes from within. A trust that knows you are capable, that knows you are supported, that knows you will not be led into something you are not ready to face, because you are ready, not because everything is clear, not because every answer has been revealed, but because you have become someone who can meet the unknown without fear taking control. Feel that for a moment. There is a difference between fear and awareness. Fear rushes, awareness observes. Fear reacts, awareness understands. And you are no longer moving from fear. You are moving from awareness. That is your strength. That is your protection. Because when you are aware, truly aware, you cannot be easily shaken. You cannot be easily misled. You cannot be pulled off your path by confusion or doubt. You begin to see things as they are. You begin to feel what is true. And that clarity becomes your guide. So whatever is approaching, whatever form it takes, however it arrives, you do not need to meet it with hesitation or uncertainty. You can meet it with calm, with presence, with quiet confidence, because you are not stepping into something unprepared. You are stepping into something you have already been guided toward, piece by piece, moment by moment. Everything you needed to learn, you have learned. Everything you needed to become, you are becoming. And everything that is meant for you is moving closer. Even now, there is nothing you need to chase, nothing you need to force, nothing you need to prove. Just remain open, remain steady, remain aware of what is unfolding around you and within you. Because guidance does not always come as instructions. Sometimes it comes as a feeling, a knowing, a quiet sense that this is the direction. And when you feel that, when something resonates beyond logic, beyond explanation, trust it, not impulsively, but deeply. Because that is how you are being led. And understand this, you are protected in ways you may never fully see, in moments you may never fully recognize. There have been things that did not reach you for a reason, portals that closed for a reason, delays that happened for a reason. Not to block you, but to position you, not to deny you, but to align you. And as you move forward, that protection does not disappear, it remains quietly, consistently, ensuring that what is meant for you arrives at the right time, and what is not passes you by without harm. So, release the need to control every outcome, release the urge to predict every step. You are not meant to carry that weight. You are meant to move with awareness and allow the path to reveal itself as you walk it. This is where your power is, not in knowing everything ahead of time, but in trusting yourself in every moment that comes, in staying grounded when things shift, in staying calm when things are unclear, in staying open when something new begins to unfold. And it will unfold, sooner than you think, in ways you may not expect, but when it does, you will recognize it. Not because someone tells you, not because it looks exactly how you imagined, but because something within you will respond. Quickly, clearly, without hesitation, a knowing that doesn't need explanation, a certainty that doesn't need proof. And in that moment, you will understand why everything happened the way it did, why you were asked to wait, why you were guided to remain patient, why you were brought to this exact point in time, because it was never about rushing to the outcome. It was about becoming ready to receive it. And now, you are. So stand in that, not with arrogance, but with quiet strength, not with urgency, but with calm confidence. Let whatever is coming, come. Let it find you as you are, aware, steady, and open, because you are not just witnessing this moment. You are part of it, chosen to experience it, guided to move through it, protected as it unfolds. And as the next chapter begins, softly, quietly, almost without announcement, remember this. You don't need to search for the path anymore. You are already on it, and whatever is about to arrive will not arrive by accident. If this message found you, then you were meant to be ready, not surprised. The news is coming, and you're ready to receive it.